Hello, my name's John. This is NAR Outdoors, and I wanted to share an update of the Suunto Ocean dive computer as I've gotten a chance to dive it. Before we get into the diving, I do want to share a quick update of the just general usability. I am still just wowed by this watch's battery life. I've only actually charged it twice since I got it. The first time when I first set it up, and then right after the last video I created. It's fitting my wrist very comfortably. It's still easy to use for the things I need it to be used for on a daily basis. I did add a protective crystal cover. I'll have a link below. I will receive a small commission for the things in the links, but it shouldn't affect your cost at all. Just something to protect the screen from scratches. This is for a different Suunto model, but it worked fine. I also picked up a mount for my bike handlebars. You can see that here. Same thing with the link below. I got this because I found the watch was a little bit heavy on a mountain bike, and with the type of riding I do, it bumped around my wrist a little bit too much and made it uncomfortable to wear. It does give up the opportunity to use the optical heart rate sensor in the watch, so I also have been using it with a heart rate strap. There's a Suunto option here, should work fine. Again, link below. And finally, the last thing I picked up in anticipation of my dive, but I actually didn't need it because this worked fine with my 4-3 wetsuit, was an extension to the watch strap. The watch comes with a small and medium length strap, and that's about all I can actually fit on this to wear for my day-to-day basis. But I do frequently drive a dry suit, and it doesn't fit over that without something extra. So I got this extension. It is a Suunto brand for one of their other watches. It works fine. And I'm guessing at some point they'll actually have one specific for the ocean, but this one worked fine for my use. So that's it. Let's get into the diving. So my buddy and I, we went to our local quarry. The visibility was atrocious, maybe 6 feet. The water temperature, however, was warm in the 80s. And we did 2 dives. One was over an hour by a bit, one was under an hour by a bit. Nothing special. There wasn't a whole lot to see. But it was a great opportunity to test this as a dive computer. I do like the way that Suunto has their pre-dive setup screen. You'll see a video of that here. Allows you to scroll through all the potential options, change easily your air to nitrox. Very much different than many other computers where those changes are buried in layered menus. The row of icons on the top of the screen show your readiness, so it shows your GPS connection, it shows your battery life along with how long you have to dive. You feel there's a user interface niggle here though, where if your tank pod becomes connected, it just turns and appears gray, but does not show green like the rest of the icons in this top display area. I think it's an oversight from them and something that they should address. Immediately after getting in the water on my first dive, I noticed how bright and clear the display was, how it performed well even at the lower depths where you have a lot of light filtering in from the surface. It didn't have nearly as many reflections as my shearwater did, and just wowed me with its clarity and how well it worked, how well it looked, and how easy it was to use. I played around with the brightness at various times, murky depth. Hopefully you'll be able to see a difference between all these, although I didn't have the capability of changing my exposure settings on my phone, which is serving as my camera. So take the pictures with a grain of salt. They are automatic exposure, and that could change the comparisons. It does seem to be at its brightest a lot brighter than my shearwater, and even at its lowest setting a lot brighter than my shearwater, and it's just a lot clearer. I was really surprised by that. I'm pretty amazed by how well this display performed underwater. Easy to glance at, see the information you need for the most part. I still feel that their air integration display needs some tweaking. If you look at my last video, I had some suggestions on that. I thought about it more, and I still would prefer it to be always on the primary display. The alternative would be is to have the selectable bottom section revert back after a period of inactivity to that option, to your tank pressure. I did also kind of have some qualms with the arch display. It's a good idea. However, I really wish it was clearer what it was actually displaying. And I know that the different colors mean different things, but I don't feel like you should have to think that hard when you're diving, that it should be more clear with what it is actually displaying. They actually did a good job in this example with your safety stop. Your safety stop displays in color yellow your countdown time, and then the arch display is yellow with your countdown. I feel that that should carry through to your NDL if your NDL is displayed, or it should be more well highlighted with the box coming over and connecting the arch to the NDL screen. Same with your air pressure. It should have some more clear way of displaying what it is that is going on at the time you're diving it. So again, 2 dives on this, absolutely thrilled. Was disappointed in that the underwater inertial route tracking just didn't work for either of them. I made sure at the beginning of both dives I had my GPS fixed, everything was all green across the top, but it didn't work. I don't know if this is because I had it right next to another electronic device and it was throwing off the internal compass. Couldn't really know that because I can't see what the compass bearing is on the watch while in dive mode, or if it's a function of diving in this quarry. In the future, I'll try diving it on opposite wrists to see how things go with that. So last thing I want to do is go over the app integration with the dive computer. And I technically have 3 different dive computers on these dives. I used my Apple iPhone in a housing as a dive computer / camera. I use my Shearwater Perdix 2, and I use the Suunto Ocean. I'm going to use my iPad to go through the different screens and just give you a brief overview of what's going on. First thing off the bat I noticed is that the Suunto app and the Shearwater app have iPad resolution integrated, whereas the Apple endorsed Oceanic Plus doesn't. It's really only meant to be used on an iPhone. First and foremost is the Suunto app. This is what you see when you open it up. You have a map with your dive. Top section should be where your route tracking is shown. Middle section is your dive statistics. It is missing entry and exit times. And then the bottom are the usual type of graphs. Pretty standard stuff. Next up is Shearwater, similar sort of thing. You've got my dive graph. We open it up. It doesn't have quite as much information as easily seen as the Suunto. It's not as polished of an app, but that's to be expected. You can get into some really nitty-gritty stuff with their graphing options there. And the last is the Oceanic Plus app. Same sort of thing, starts with the map. You have your basic dive information. You got to tab through some of it and interpret it based on the graph. Still really disappointed that this isn't a iPad app. I feel like it really should be, especially with their photo editing capabilities on it. So in conclusion, guys, this is absolutely fantastic. The display is the best display I've actually ever dove of a dive computer I have owned personally. It will be interesting to see someone compare this to one of the Garmin watches. But I am thrilled with this as a dive computer. I'm hoping that they'll add their compass. I hear there are rumors it's going to happen. And then I hope they'll take some of the user feedback about more customizability of the dive functionality itself. Anyway, hopefully you found this information useful. If any of the products I mentioned earlier are something you're interested in, please get them below. I would like to build up at least enough funds to get Final Cut Pro, which will make editing these easier. And hopefully I can get my hands on some other stuff to review. Hopefully in the future I'll also be able to get the dive tracking function working so I can show you that. Anyway, till next time.
No roar!